And Jubilee Line was plagued with issues for many, many years. And putting a system in wasn't an easy task. It did overrun by a year or two. But it has, in the last 4 years, it has been the best subway line in the UK, 3 out of 4 years. And it just almost never breaks down.
Best for reliability, on time?
Best for reliability, best for on time.
Wow.
A very high capacity, yes. And then I left Thales as the signal supplier and I joined Toronto Transit Commission, because I actually wanted to put some of that experience back from the agency side, and I worked on the Line 1 resignaling. That was a two-pronged approach. There was an extension, the TYCC extension that was put onto Line 1. That was a big driving goal that the President had dictated we must get that line open by the end of 2017. But the power was coming on so late, there was no time left to test it. So we actually had to re-signal an existing part of the line to proof the testing, get the system tests done, so that when we did get the power on the extension, it came on and ran flawlessly. And it was flawless from day one. We've added, we're up to nearly 20 kilometres by the time I left just before Christmas. We added a big new section, and it is providing tremendous reliability.
Could I just ask, because I'm going to forget if I don't ask.
Sure.
When you did these additional CBTC or new signaling on, let's say, on Line 1 in Toronto,
Yeah.
did you have to shut down sections of the line while you were installing it?
We did, and what we did was we had one closure per month for the signalling project, because one weekend, one Saturday, Sunday closure buys you between 5 and 8 weeks worth of night work. So we actually worked every week.
That's interesting.
One weekend a month, we shut the subway down, and we got lots of things done. And the things that would have taken sometimes 4 weeks or 6 weeks on their own, they're done if you can do them in 1, 12, or 24-hour shift. So we really moved quickly. You know, if you take 12 months at 5 to 8 weeks, you know, you're ending up with, you know, you're saving two years in closures in a year of the work. So so it does, and it was very effective. And then a certain person called me sometime last year and said, "We need you in New York." And here I am.
CP Byford.
Yes.
Certain person Byford.
And your experiences in New York will keep you here?
Yes, yes,
He's
yes,
got lots to
absolutely.
do.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
It's a far-flung system with
Yeah.
all
Where I lived, yes.
different legacies throughout the entire thing. You know, an A division of the people. I mean, it's incredible.
Opportunity for a new legacy.
Yes, absolutely.
This would be your crowning.
Yeah, I'm absolutely committed to this job. I'm really excited to be here and to work with you all and with all the employees.
Have any of the other places where you've done this had as wide a variety of rolling stock as New York has?
Not even
No,
close.
not even close. That's
No,
straight up.
and that is one of the challenges. Any train pretty much goes anywhere is another challenge.
Well, as long as it's the right division, of
yes,
course.
yeah, within the right division.
Wow.
Did they give you a title?
Yes, Vice President of CBTC Resignaling.
Ooh.
So
Congratulations.
CBTC re-signaling, does that mean re-signaling what CBTC has been done or doing
The new ones.
the new ones?
Yeah, so it's finishing off. There's a few little things on
And testing
on line 7
UWB.
still to do. UWB is a very new emerging technology. It's tremendously exciting. It has a huge potential. We're evaluating how much of a game saver it is. Being an ex-military man, I would say it's not a silver bullet, but it's not a blank either. So somewhere between those two will be an effective solution. I think at the moment I would say it is a significant enhancement to CBTC technology that we already have.
And it can be installed in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost, correct?
That's what the pilot trial will determine as we go through this year, because
And where will the pilot trial be?
it's on part of it is on the Jamaica line, and part of it is on the Canarsie line. So the idea is to equip a few trains, and it's a thing called shadow mode that the trial is. So none of the passengers would actually even know that it's equipped. What we do is we put equipment on the trains, and they monitor all the existing locations and functions and all the different things that make the signal work. And through the course of this year, we take that data off and we actually say, can UWB do this, can it do that? So we collect all that data, and then at the end of this year, we get to evaluate that and say, what's the best path forward? It's not a safety certified solution yet, which in itself is is generally a time consuming thing, but it could be integrated with an existing CBTC solution. So we have many different kind of options and flavours to look at. But come the end of this year, we should have a very clear picture of how much the UWB or the ultra wideband helps us.
Chris?
Yeah, I actually been reading, when I heard about, when they announced this on the website, I read your history, and I have to say, it's very fascinating, because as Andrew, you and I discussed this a few months ago on the run committee, and I said, I hope BIFO will get this guy, because I think the ultra wideband, which we did test it on the express track on the F line.
Culver line, yeah.
The Culver line,
Yeah.
and I have to say this, even Edith was impressive, and for her to be impressed, you'd never get that.
We were all
And
impressed
she,
with it.
no, for her to say, wow, that was smooth. But no, it's complimented because it's showing that it's being tested for safety precautions, and it's being making sure there's no side effects or any problems, and I'm really
And
glad
it
to
can be
see.
put on any train, a work train, a passenger train.
Or the old train, or
Yeah.
the vintage trains.
Yeah, if you want to waste money on those, yeah.
Hey, they're
For
running,
the,
What is
He's
this,
joking, he's
what are
joking,
the steps in the
he's
safety certification? Is that at a federal level? Is that have to go through different pilots
I'm
or?
still familiarising myself with the US safety certification, but
But
there will be
change it as soon as you want.
there will there are elements of there's a lot of self-certification
Right, okay.
that we can do. So we as a department need to make sure that we're convinced we've done all the
Absolutely.
testing that it's safe. That will be independently safety assessed, and then we have to make a case to.
And they are
to some
assessing it in
external
Boston
body.
and I think in LA as well.
Oh.
Yes, on a very much reduced
Yeah.
scale, because you're familiar with positive train control?
Yes.
So positive train control is different to CBTC. You know, positive train control gives you certain enforcement safety functions. It doesn't give you automatic train operation. That's a big difference between those two.
Back to the certification though, is it certification by New York City, New York State, or is this a national thing, or,
I'm
because
not-
there are federal funds
Yeah,
involved?
you have to sign up.
Yeah.
TSB.
Yeah, it'll be federal.
So it has, because there's federal funding involved, yeah.
How can we help? How can we support Fast Forward,
Thank you.
signaling? I mean, going to Albany is great, except it isn't. But, you know, we can do, our role is that we have the opportunity to educate, not necessarily to advocate to a certain extent as an organization, but individually, people can certainly do anything that they are so choose. So if there's certain language that would be helpful, if there's, reach out to Mellis before testifying and
So I
helpful,
think,
but-
so if I may answer that, I think, and funny enough, I was talking to someone else about that this morning. I'm sort of doing a behind the scenes roadshow, talking to various groups who can probably say things that I can't, but it's things like, one, we've got to avoid the temptation, you know, there's all this, often you hear people talking about Tesla and Google and Amazon, which sounds great, but CBTC, although it's a mature system, it's not what's the word, obsolescent.
Right.
It's a really good system, but the beauty of UWB, but we shouldn't chase after it as a panacea, a bit like you're saying, it's not a silver bullet. It's yet to be proven, so I think we're doing the right thing, which is push on with CBTC, develop UWB in parallel, If it proves not to be a goer, we haven't wasted any time because we're still pushing on with CBTC. If it does prove to be viable, well then you can blend the two and no time lost and great. You do it, you implement it more quickly, more cheaply, less intrusively, fantastic. So I think just helping us lobby to get the funding we need and not miss the boat on this opportunity to deliver what Fast Forward will deliver. Because my big fear is that we will be forced to rein it right in. Oh, 5 lines is great, but 2 will do. Well, not really. We have this opportunity, and as I said the other day, it's my new strapline when he arrived. I said, I've got the plan, I've now got the man, give me the money. That's my new strapline.
I like that.
Yeah, it just suddenly came to me. We've got the plan, we've got the man, give me the money. So that's how you can help us, right? To just keep pushing legislators. Don't lose sight of the prize here. Within just 10 years, this system can go from state of emergency to state of the art in an unbelievably, unprecedentedly short time frame. That's the golden opportunity.
I hate to be Debbie Downer again, but
That's my
you're
name.
talking about 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even a year from now. What I keep on hearing, the complaints I get, and I don't know if it helps, I usually call them into the office, but if it helps, and I assume the office knows, people come to me a lot because they know my whole history with the MTA going back to the dark ages.
And they still come to you?
And they still come to me, because sometimes I can actually, with your help, get something done. You know that, Andrew. But the whole thing is, I hear over and over again something that happened, like I came running in here this morning, the elevator isn't working. And that's what I get. And they don't want to hear that, yes, the trains are going to be running wonderful with CP. They don't even know what CPCT is, but they want to know tomorrow. And when some of the things that you have pointed out, I will tell you one area of frustration, which is even frustration to me, and again happened this morning, so it's fresh in my mind, is that when you said you get the trains out of the station immediately. Well, at Grand Central, and you all have heard this so many times, I take the number 6 to Grand Central, then I switch to the 4 or 5 and cross the track. This morning it happened again. The four was sitting there. The 6 pulled in, and I'm going, hey, I'm not going to be late today. And as the door on the 6 opened, the door on and people were dashing to get
I'm
across
amazed
the
to hear you
sidewalk.
say that, because I have noticed more timed meets lately.
No, well, I am telling you, you're
And
on the
not
west
rush-
side.
not rush
I don't know
hour.
what's doing on the west
Rush
side.
hour,
I am
obviously not.
talking about especially
I've
at
noticed it.
Grand Central.
Okay.
That, and if there could be some way of, even though you're trying to get them out as fast as possible, just to say, if another train is coming in or opening its doors on the other side of the platform,
You might as well allow it.
Okay.
to just allow
I
that to
get it.
happen.
So I
It's a
get it.
little
I
thing
get
like
it.
that.
So sometimes that happens to me, right? Because I use the 6 every day, and I transfer at 14th Street Union Square. And on occasions, I just miss the transfer. It doesn't bother me, because what I want is maintain throughput. Just keep the trains going. But I get that if 2 trains arrive at the same time, we should have common sense
In
applied.
non-rush
And most
hour, of
times,
course.
yeah, non-rush hour, because you would not believe how quickly holding connections
In
adds
rush
up.
hour.
And
No, I
backs the
understand
trains
that,
up.
but if they're arriving, one set of doors
Yeah, I
is
get it.
just
So I'm
opening.
agreeing with you. So we have said that to crews. Don't necessarily maintain connections in the peak hour, but if it really is absolutely the same time, then they should apply
Well,
common
maybe you
sense.
And I had one of those
maybe you
meetings
could
at
ask
72nd
them,
Street today.
you could send out a GO or something about it
Deborah?
again.
Yes,
because-
I know that you want to get what you're trying to do out to the public. You know, I happen to be on my transportation committee at my community board. And if you would schedule or set up with the community board, especially the transportation committee, and educate us on this, we could be advocating, because we do have to report back to our local elected officials, as well as the borough president and the mayor and the governor, as well as my group. I also chair a committee of families with children with developmental abilities. Trust me, we're very good at advocating. And if this will help, we're very willing to do that.
Absolutely.
And if
So-
we can help do that too, we have,
You don't have to come
we
to my
have our
committee.
members, but we
We're
also have
covered.
we have the staff to do this.
Okay, so I got to run. I got to go upstairs. But what I was saying was there's science behind what we're doing, right? Because these things are all linked. I mean, the L's slightly peripheral in that it's a one-off. Once it's done, it's done. But I can't stress enough the importance, I think, for my team of which I'm trying for them not to be distracted by other things. There's lots of initiatives we're being asked to look at. My view is we've only got so much time in the day, so therefore the two things we must focus on in tandem are the here and now, the day-to-day service, to your point, in parallel with developing and making the case and getting on with fast forward. But to do that, we needed to put pieces of the jigsaw in place, and this gentleman here is one of the key parts in that jigsaw. So I'm pretty confident we've now got everything we need to go once we get the funding.
Andy, just the last thing before you leave. Trudy's report about the elevator Bowling Green. When an elevator goes out of service, doesn't that send off a signal?
It does. So it should have been reported.
No,
I'm
it
just gonna
wasn't
follow up
out,
on
it wasn't out of service, it didn't come. Eventually it came,
Oh, so
and
it's
the
all
people
okay.
who were standing there,
Yeah,
because
so slow.
this is the one just from the platform.
I know.
It wasn't even that it was slow, because somebody said to me, it's just not coming, and then finally,
Yeah, it
and I
takes
asked
time.
that person, I said, how long?
Could someone have
is
been
it?"
holding it?
They have diagnostics.
Andrew,
Yeah,
And the
the
reason
staircase
it was
was
down there is
closed.
because they
Staircase
closed
was
down the
closed.
the
staircase.
down staircase, I don't know why, was
Yes,
closed, so you
yes.
had to use the elevator unless you wanted to walk to the very
To
end.
the other end of the state, yeah, that's why I took the
Maybe someone
elevator.
spilled something or something.
Well, no,
They
but
had
there
closed the
was no
staircase and I
notice,
couldn't get down it.
there was no notice that the staircase was closed until it was so
Thank you
late.
so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good luck, Pete. Good luck. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the US of A. That's your lunch?
Although we are,
Let me go into the board report because it's really complicated, if I could. Thank you, Chief. So, unless you've been in a cave for the last 2 weeks, you know that the board postponed a vote on the fare hike. In the board briefings that led up to that board meeting, one of the governor's key people on the board, Larry Schwartz, presented an option of what he would like to see of fare choices on both transit and the commuter rails. All of those would require a new public hearing. That was made very clear. I don't know if he has digested them somewhat and made some changes to them, because I'm hearing that they have changed somewhat. I don't know what those changes are. I'm assuming when I have a board briefing on the week of the 13th, 14th, 15th, we will get briefed on what those are. In any event, the next full board meeting requires a vote, either on the option A and B, or on deciding to notice the third or fourth options. There may be 2 additional options on the fare hikes. Some of these, I know, do away with the single ride Metro card. You would have to purchase the other one. That's obviously only important until we get to the new fare option, and then you'll have the permanent card, and that won't be an issue. But there is that. There is one floating out there that I told everybody I would vigorously oppose should it come to the floor, which is a freeze on commutation fares on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North, but no similar freeze on the monthly Metro card. That's a non-starter for me, and I will oppose that, and I think that's really, really a bad idea. I would be in favor, which I think might come out and some of the board members are in favor of, is if you've bought a pretty darn expensive monthly Metro card on Long Island Railroad or Metro North, you could get a reduced monthly cost on a Metro card for the transit system. I think that's fair. I also will be pushing my 2 hours from first swipe idea for the MetroCard because I think that's important, especially after hearing the testimony at the Fair Hike hearings, particularly on Staten Island and in Queens. Those folks are missing connections. They're having to be issued third part, the three-legged transfers, and this would hopefully obviate the need for those in a lot of cases.
They want to eliminate that?
No, I'm proposing this.
Oh.
I'm proposing a
Most people don't
2-hour
even know.
unlimited ride
Yeah.
after your first swipe.
Oh,
For how long?
2 hours.
yeah, isn't it 2 hours?
2 hours should be good for folks from the Rockaways to Staten Island to the North Bronx. In addition, if there is system rebuilding, signal installation, new fare card installation, CBTC, all of these other things, if you're doing this and you're adjacent and all of a sudden you've got no service, you shouldn't be penalized to have to go to another line that you might be able to walk to.
Thank you.
And the 2-hour unlimited MetroCard would allow for those kinds of transfers. So I've gotten pretty positive feedback. Andy Byford said that they initiated this in Toronto and it works really well, and Toronto's distances are much shorter than ours in terms of the system. So, it's been tried elsewhere. I'll propose it and we'll see what happens. But yes, Bert.
There was some talk about some sort of postponing fare increases until it's certain that. Is that real?
One of the board members would like a postponement on any consideration of a fare hike until they know what the state legislature is doing vis-a-vis congestion pricing and anything else. And, that's a $30 million hit every month. I don't know how you make that back. But,
But I thought there was a discussion that it also involved better service.
involve what?
Better service.
Oh, yes.
Well,
The,
A performance metric.
Yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner Schwartz also is proposing a fare hike go in, and then in a year, or this is 19, in 2020, if the performance metrics are not such that you see markedly improved performance, the fare hike gets rolled back. I don't know, and it has yet to be spelled out what kind of metrics that would be. Is it terminal to terminal? Is it excess wait time? Is it excess train time? Is it signal failures? Is it trains taken out of service? Because then you're gonna have sick passengers involved in this, you're gonna have door issues involved in this, you might have police action involved. Does that count against transit's ability to meet those metrics? I think it's something of a slippery slope to do that. So we're gonna ask these, yes.
So I just wanted to talk about the budget and congestion pricing when you're talking.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, true.
okay, actually, that's what I wanted, but it's not just one member of the state senate that is. This is basically the governor's position at this point, which is basically,
I wasn't saying state senate, I was saying the MTA board.
oh, no,
Robert Schwartz.
but, and when you talk about, you better indicate Commissioner Schwartz, it's not Sam Schwartz.
No, no.
It's how- okay, but you better, there are three
Who's the
Schwartzes
other
that we
Schwartz?
deal with.
Sam Schwartz is not a commissioner anymore.
You can see he still uses the title, just like I am.
I'm talking about the governor's chief person on the MTA board,
Okay,
yeah.
anyway, but what I am saying is that this has taken off like wildfire. Especially since it's become an issue, and even though Andy said he didn't want politics brought into this, because of Melissa Mark Viverito, the name of her party that she's running on. And so it is now basically the main issue in the upcoming public advocate
race,
race. And the governor has now made it quite clear through his board members and through others that unless we get congestion pricing, the fare is going to have to go up.
Yeah.
It's not,
Did you miss my report, my chair's report? Because I mentioned what Pat Foy said, 27%.
no, I know what Pat Foy said, but I'm just telling you where it's, I heard the 27%. But I'm going one step further, which is in response to Bert's question, that is a given. It's not, and it's not just doing a 2 hours.
What is a given?
That it's going to be one or the other.
No,
No.
it's not. So I spent 14 hours in Albany yesterday.
God bless
I
you.
listened to the entire MTA
God.
testimony, DOT, DMV,
Yikes.
Thruway Authority, everybody.
Yep.
So and we spent a lot of time looking at the budget and working on our testimony. So the governor is tying in the executive budget funding for the MTA to congestion pricing, to, red light camera, adding the number of speed camera, red light cameras, and changing the enforcement metrics for that, and tying it also to, reorganizing the MTA. Based on the
Does anyone know what that
tremendous,
means?
well, no, but that was,
Yes,
that was
yes.
sort of put into a different, that wasn't the focus. The focus was congestion pricing. And it was a very realistic and reasonable request that the legislators asked, what does that mean? How much is it gonna be? Where's this infrastructure gonna be put? The governor's proposal says that the state would have the authority to do whatever they want on city streets. I think we can, expect that the city's gonna have something to say about that. And that they wanna see what it means, how much is it gonna cost? John Liu, Leroy Comrie, Kevin Parker, the people who represent the outer, or there was a new term for it, boroughs, who were all really curious, who said, even if I support it, I can't vote on just on a concept, I need to vote on a plan. So I see the decoupling of that and all three of the provisions as what
Decoupling
ultimately.
of congestion pricing.
Congestion and as a sticking point component of getting the budget passed and getting MTA funding. I think it's gonna be a conversation that goes on. The MTA still doesn't have an agreement with the provider of how they're gonna do this. The city, there's gonna be a lot of questions, and if there's gonna be an on-time budget, there's no way, in my opinion, that they're gonna be able to tie everything so closely.
With all due respect, you spent 14 hours in Albany. I am trying to give you some behind the scenes what's happening. John Liu, when he was in the city council, was against congestion pricing.
Yep.
He represents the part of Queens, and that's what it is. So no matter what he says, and now because he is now in the state senate, he's trying to swing people. What I am
Liz
trying-
Kruger is also asking for information before she can.
I know that she's my
Yeah.
state senator, and I talk to her all the time. What I am saying is everybody wants, but the bottom line is, and that's why I always want to bring up congestion pricing again, because since the last time this body passed a resolution and we sent a letter saying we support congestion pricing, what congestion pricing is now has changed quite a bit from the congestion pricing that we supported. And what I was going to ask is if one of two things, because there was a question then about where it would start and the hospitals, people going to doctor's appointments, would there be, would people be paying a double fare basically if they came through the tunnel and then went into the areas, et cetera. A lot of that has been resolved. Then you have the added thing with the.
But the border is still 60th Street, isn't it?
But there are all kinds of exceptions made, so that for the hospitals, depending on where you're going and if you pay the fare, they now have that you don't have to pay a double.
Actually, if you were going to those hospitals and you were coming over the Queensboro Bridge and you exited at the 63rd Street end, you would avoid the 60th Street, John.
Yeah, well, there are all
It
kinds
doesn't
of
count the
things,
FDR.
but that's
Right.
what we are talking about. Also, you have all the, you have Lyft, Uber, et cetera, which has now gotten into the act, which it didn't.
They're part of the
When we
reason for
talked
this.
about this. And they are, no, but even more than them are the taxi drivers, yellow cabs, because they're the ones that are being killed. This was supposed to help them, and it's still, all I'm saying is that somehow, I think, and I would like to bring this up, and if you want to bring it up as a resolution for discussion, that we once again voice our support for congestion pricing, the concept of congestion pricing, but ask for more details on what this is going to now contain. Because I say, I have been getting different things from different people, and again, why do I tell you.
It's because there's no plan, it's because there's a
No,
concept.
there is a
No,
plan.
there's a proposal
There is a proposal.
in the governor's budget. That's
There-
not the same thing.
But no, and it also has now gotten worked in with the Vision Zero and with the red light thing, because different transit groups have gotten, and transportation alternatives have gotten involved. And so that it could happen that there winds up being no congestion pricing, but I think that we, as a group representing the public who don't want a fare raise, say that we approve the concept, and that's the word that I'm using, very important, of congestion pricing, and then we can have a discussion on what details we want or don't want in our concept, or we could ask for detailed what is being proposed, because I can tell you that there is, not what you saw in the budget, but there are various ideas that are more than just floating around ideas, that are
Oh,
underneath the
there's as many
radar.
ideas as there are people, but
But there's not, if
There's no
congestion
other way
pricing
of-
is approved, there's still, the MTA still needs a fare increase.
yes, absolutely. One is
Yeah, there's
capital
not
and the
one
other
is
is operating.
Right
Well,
now.
I understand that, but it wouldn't be a
As
massive.
much, yeah, it wouldn't be,
It would be
Right,
the
right,
fair,
it would be the one that
it would be
they're
the
putting
fair
or something.
increase that was voted on, that was agreed to, and everything else, not 27
right,
or
not
more
right.
than
We
27.
did reaffirm our support, the PCAC and the council's support for congestion pricing in the testimony, and we'll continue
Okay,
to do
in the
that.
testimony, I would suggest that we also, we wrote before you, we literally put it in writing to the governor and to all the elected officials, and we had a different speaker, we had a different, and so I would strongly suggest, and you can,
So make a
word it
motion.
however, that we once again, in writing, to the governor, to the MTA board, affirm and we would also like more details on what congestion pricing is now.
In answer to your question, Lisa, your testimony was submitted in writing.
It was, yes.
Did it go to the governor as well as the members of the transportation?
It did
The
not.
dual-
I'm planning to follow up and send, written, an additional written note, and email it to, the heads of the transportation and budget committees.
All right.
No, it should be sent to the speaker, it should be sent to Carl Hastings
Not a problem.
and to Andrea Stewart Cousins, but I am saying that there should be a covering letter reaffirming our strong
We got it.
support.
We got it.
Okay, so I am making a motion, okay,
Is there a second?
that we do such a thing, reaffirming our support of the concept of
And my
congestion
understanding is that
pricing.
the governor has already agreed to the lockbox issue.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah?
the money will be,
Yes.
so that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Is there a second
That
to
the money
Trudy's
will
motion?
only go to the
Okay.
MTA.
It's been seconded. All those in favor? Nobody's opposed. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Lisa, could I just see a copy of the letter, the draft? Well, maybe we should all see a draft
We'll all
of the
see it.
letter. Yeah, please.
We'll all see it.
Before it goes out, thank you.
oh, there's a question.
Yes.
Yes, so we added their transfer, because it's
Three-legged transfer.
for first, second, and the third transfer, and we need extend from 2 hours to 3 hours transfer.
I'm gonna make the motion that it be 2 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours is a little tough to sell, and I think would cut into
But unlimited.
2 hours unlimited usage after your first swipe. This would allow somebody that takes a bus to a train,